So I think that let me open the chapter first. Expansion of the British rule. No, we were completing on that day only. Expansion of the British rule. Okay. Expansion of the British rule. Okay. Introduction, and after that Portuguese, Dutch, French, British we have completed, and the most important Anglo-French war, that 3 wars. Okay, that Carnatic war, this one also we have completed. Okay. All the 3 Carnatic wars, first Carnatic war, second Carnatic war, and third Carnatic war also we have completed on that day only. No. So now heading is Conquest of Bengal, Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar. This we have to discuss today. Okay. So we are going to discuss it. First of all, Conquest of Bengal. Okay. Open page number 52, expansion of British power in India. Okay. And children, today only I'm just trying to complete the question answer of this chapter. Okay. So I will send the PDF today or tomorrow. Okay. Open page number 52, expansion of British power in India. Okay. All the other trading companies, given the opportunity, would have wanted to colonize India to promote their commercial interests. The English, the English were successful in defeating all trading companies, desirous of taking control of parts of the subcontinent. And the question is, why were only the English successful? Why were only the English successful? We will explore these reasons in this chapter. Okay. By the mid of 19th century, a large part of India was under the control of the English East India Company. It began with the Battle of Plassey and in Bengal and ended with the revolt of 1857. Take note of the map given below and suspend tape. Read out the various stages in which the English took control of such a large area in the subcontinent. Okay. It is saying that the British first came to India as transit. Okay. The British first came to India for only tradership in 17th century. However, by the middle of the 19th century, the British succeeded in eliminating all their rivals, okay, in eliminating all their rivals and established an all Indian empire. Okay, in 1600 CE, in 1600 CE, a company popularly known as the English East India Company in 1600 CE, a company which popularly known as the, by which name? By English East India Company, was established by a small group of British merchants. Okay, merchant means businessman. Okay, and the Queen of England in Elizabeth I granted the company to exclusive right to trade with East. Okay, the company made enormous profit. The company made enormous, abundant profit advantages. Okay, by buying Eastern goods and then selling them at high prices. At high prices in the European market. This is the reason. Okay, in the European market, the Queen received a share of the company's profits. Okay, the English East India Company set up its factory in Surat. Okay, the English East India Company set up its factory in Surat in 1612 CE. Okay, a factory was a trading settlement. A factory was a trading settlement consisting of a warehouse for goods, an office for keeping records, and residential quarters for the servants, or we can say that employees of the company. And nothing was manufactured in these factories. Okay. So, by 1623 CE, the British had established factories in Surat, Bharuch, Ahmedabad, Agra, and Masulipatam. Sir Thomas Raw, the British ambassador, Sir Thomas Raw, the British ambassador, okay, Sir Thomas Raw, the British ambassador to the court of Jahangir, to the court of Jahangir, had obtained many trade concessions for the company from the Mughal emperor. Okay, and in 1639, Madras was given to the British by a local ruler, and they established a trading settlement which they fortified and named Fort St. George. In 1690, the British trading settlement was established and fortified in Calcutta. Now it was named Fort William. Okay. And after that, the conquest of Bengal. The conquest of Bengal. Page number 52 only. Bengal was the first state to be occupied by the British in 1764. Bengal was the first state. West Bengal was the first state that is occupied by the British in 1764. After the death of Aurangzeb, the Mughal Empire became weak. After the death of Aurangzeb, the Mughal Empire became weak. Nawab Siraj-ud-Daulah challenged British activities like non-payment of custom duties in Bengal, and Siraj-ud-Daulah was suspicious of English activities from the very beginning, and defying his orders, the English fortified their settlements in Calcutta in 1756. Shiraz objected to it and ordered military action against the British, and his armies held the British as prisoners in the dungeons of Fort William. Here, one of the prisoners alleged that 146 British officers but shoot in a room 22 feet long and 14 feet wide, and leading to death by suffocation of 123 officers. However, this account of the so-called black hole tragedy has been questioned by several scholars and historians subsequently. Bengal, okay, West Bengal in the 18th century, Bengal in the 18th century was the richest and the most fertile province in India. Bengal in the 18th century was the richest and the most fertile province in India, known as the paradise of the earth. Okay, no, Bengal in the 18th century was the most richest and the most fertile state of India, and known as the paradise of the earth. That time, this West Bengal known as the paradise of the earth. The state of Bengal attracted traders from Holland, France, and England. European trading companies from these countries, European trading companies from these countries established trading settlements in Bengal, and which became a profitable base for their trade and commerce. The largest and the most prosperous of these European settlements was the British settlement at Calcutta. In 1717, the Mughal Emperor Farrukh Shah issued a farman granting the English East India Company, okay, the right to carry on duty-free trade in Bengal. Example, to export and import goods from and to Bengal without paying any taxes. Without paying any taxes. Okay. To whom? To the government. Okay. They were given the right to issue passes or das tax for the free movement of their goods. The employees of the company were permitted to carry on private trade, but they were not initial to the companies and privileges of duty-free trade. They had to pay taxes like other Indian merchants. Okay. Battle of Plassey. Battle of Plassey. The Battle of Plassey is an important landmark. The Battle of Plassey is an important landmark in the history of India. Battle of Plassey is an important landmark in the history of India. Okay, and on 23rd June 1757, the armies of Siraj-ud-Daulah and the English East India Company met at Murshidabad, the capital of undivided Bengal at the time, and British forces were led by Robert Clive and Mir Zafar, the commander-in-chief of Nawab Siraj-ud-Daulah's army. Okay, Mir Zafar betrayed the Nawab and supported Clive. As a consequence of this, Siraj-ud-Daulah lost the battle was captured and killed. Mir Zafar was rewarded. Mir Zafar was rewarded and was made the Nawab of Bengal. This was the first step towards direct administration of the Bengal by the company. In a brief explanation, in a brief way, we can say that in a brief explanation, in a very brief way, we can say that in 1756, in 1756, the Nawab of Bengal, Alivardi Khan, died and was succeeded by his grandson, Nawab Sirajud Daula. Okay, who wanted to curb the growing power of the British. Sirajud Daula's task was not an easy one. Sirajud Daula's task was not an easy one since he had many enemies also. Since he had many enemies, okay, both within, both within and out of his court, okay, both sides, within of the court and out of the court also. He was having so many enemies, okay, and that made his position insecure and unstable. And this only made his position insecure and unstable, okay, and unstable. Siraj ordered the British to pay taxes. Sirajuddaula ordered to the British to pay taxes, okay, to him like all other Indian merchants are doing. Okay. Sirajuddaula ordered to the British to pay taxes like all other Indian merchants are doing. The British refused to do so. The British refused to do so. Why? Because earlier they have got the farman that they are having the duty-free trade seat. Means they can export and import the things without paying any taxes to the government. Without paying any taxes to the government. Okay. So this angered the young Nawab. Okay, this angered the young Nawab. Okay, so that is why the Nawab Sirajuddaula became angry on whom? On the Britishers. Okay, so in anticipation of a war with the French, who had a trading settlement in Chandranagar, the British began to fortify Calcutta, and this amounted to an attack on the Nawab's sovereignty. Okay, Siraj was willing. Siraj was willing to let the Europeans stay in his kingdom as traders, but certainly not as masters. Not as masters. He ordered both British and French to dismantle their fortification and not to fight their private wars on his territory. The French agreed, the British again refused to do so. Okay. Sirajuddaula was angered, and the British had openly challenged his authority, and he was determined to teach them a lesson. To teach them a lesson. Capture of Calcutta. Okay. Siraj marched towards Calcutta with a large army and captured Fort William in June 1756. June 1756. Okay. Now, Battle of Buxar. Battle of Buxar. Mir Qasim was initially very generous. Mir Qasim was initially very generous and friendly with the British. And but after a few years, he refused to accept their control, and the hostility between the British and Mir Qasim increased, and the British declared a war. Okay, Mir Qasim lost the war and fled to Awadh, soliciting support from Suzaud-Dawla and Nawab of Awadh and Shah Alam II, then Mughal Emperor. The combined forces of these three fought with the British army in Buxar and were defeated. They had to pay a heavy price, including a major concession in terms of revenue collection rights or Diwani of Bengal, and the Battle of Buxar was a singularly the important event in Indian history. Okay, Battle of Buxar. Mir Qasim. A small explanation that Mir Qasim was a competent and efficient ruler. Mir Qasim was a competent and efficient ruler, determined to free himself from foreign control. He soon came into conflict. He soon came into conflict with the with British. To strengthen his position, he improved the financial position of Bengal. He improved the financial position of Bengal and raised a modern, disciplined, and well-equipped army trained by the Europeans. This made the British increasingly hostile. This made the British increasingly hostile, means a great enemy of the Nawab. Okay. The employees of the company misused their trade privileges. The officers, or we can say that the employees of the company misused their privileges. They sold their duty-free trade permits to the Indian merchants, who also used them to carry on duty-free trade, and this deprived the Nawab of large revenues and was unfair to those local merchants, who had to pay heavy duties. Okay, to put an end end to the corruption, to the corrupt practices to the corrupt practices of the British, Mir Qasim abolished all the duties on internal tradition. Mir Qasim abolished all the duties. Mir Qasim abolished all the duties on internal trade. This made the British furious. This made the British furious, and again they refused. Again they refused to accept an equal status with the Indian merchants. In 1763, war broke out between Mir Qasim and the British, and the Nawab was defeated. Mir Zafar was reinstated on the throne. Mir Qasim was determined to recover his throne. Mir Qasim was determined to recover his throne. Okay. He escaped to Awadh, where he formed an alliance with the Suzaud-Dawla and the Nawab of Awadh and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. Okay. The combined forces of the three allies clashed. The combined forces of the three allies clashed with the company's troops, and at Buxar, and were decisively defeated by the British. Okay. So the importance of this war will be the victory of the British in the Battle of Buxar. The victory of the British in the Battle of Buxar firmly established them as masters of Bengal. Bihar, and Odisha. Okay. It gave them the political influence and control. It gave them the political influence and control over Awadh and the Mughal emperor. Okay. And it laid to the foundation of British rule in India. At this time, Robert Clive returned to India as governor of Bengal. Okay. Now, next topic is dual government. In after 1765, you are on this page only, no? On page number 54. So here, after 1765, Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha paid their revenues to the English East India Company according to the Diwani rights granted to them by the Mughal king Shah Alam. The English East India Company was faced with the problem of how and from whom to collect taxes. Okay, to collect taxes. They carried on the administration with the help of the Nawab's officials. This was called the dual government. Under this system, the administration of the kingdom was in the hands of the Nawab, but the control of the revenue was in the hands of the company. This means that there were two rulers at the same time. This means that there were two rulers at the same time. The English East India Company have to take responsibility for organizing welfare measures for the people, and because that would fall under the preview of Nawab's administration. And on the other hand, English East India Company controlled the revenues collected from the kingdom, and the Nawab had no control over the finances of his empire, as the English were not ready to share the revenues with the Nawab. The year 1770 witnessed the most severe famine of the century. Millions of people perished, but no responsibility was taken by the English East India Company. This kind of mismanagement did not go unnoticed in England. And since the English East India Company was the only company that was granted permission by the Queen to trade in India, and there were enough people in the British Parliament jealous of the riches that the company, official corruption inside the company, and wanted severe action to be taken. Okay. Since the English East India Company was moving towards bankruptcy, it had no other way out but to depend on the British government for loans to survive. Okay. Dual government. Robert Clive introduced this policy, the dual government in Bengal 1765. Who brought this policy? Robert Clive. Robert Clive brought this policy, dual government in Bengal, when? In 1765. Bengal now had two masters. In Bengal now had two masters. The Nawab and the company. Okay. The most important topic I'm describing over here. Okay. So just listen to me carefully. Robert Clive introduced dual government in Bengal in 1765. Okay. Now, Bengal had two masters, two rulers, or we can say that two rulers. Okay. First, Nawab, and the second, who? Company. Okay. The Nawab was responsible for the general administration. Okay. And maintenance of law and order and justice, as for example criminal cases. And the company had military power. Okay. And the right to collect and use the revenue of Bengal. Okay, this arrangement was known as the dual government. This arrangement only was known as the dual government. Again, I am describing this. The Nawab was responsible. Now Bengal had two rulers. Okay, first Nawab and the second company. So the Nawab was responsible for what? The Nawab was responsible for general administration. The Nawab was responsible for general administration, maintenance of law and order and justice, as for example, criminal cases. As for example, criminal cases. Okay, and the company had military power and the right to collect and use the revenue of Bengal. This whole process, or we can say that this arrangement only known as the what? Dual government. So what will be the result? Result will be the company enjoyed power without any responsibilities. Simply, the company will enjoy power without any type of responsibility. The company will enjoy their supremacy power without any responsibilities. And the Nawab, on the other hand, was burdened, and the Nawab, in the other hand, was burdened with the responsibility, of administration without the resources necessary for running it efficiently. As for example, we can say that responsibility without power. Responsibility without power. Okay. The revenue was collected by the Indian officials. The revenue was collected by the Indian officials appointed by whom? Appointed by the company. And the great corruption and oppressions of these officials reduce the peasants to conditions of the misery. Okay, the company took no interest. The company took no any type of interest in the welfare of the people. The company took no any type of interest in the welfare of the people and the conditions of the people once when Bengal was hit by a terrible famine known as the 1/3 of the population perished. Okay, and nobody cared, neither the company nor the Nawab. Neither the company nor the Nawab, who in any case had not the resources to lessen the mysteries of the people. The company through its power to nominate the deputy Nawab only interfered in the general administration without assuming any responsibility. Okay, so in a very two lines, again I'm just going to describe this dual government. First, now the West Bengal had two masters. Okay, first the Nawab